From the power to summon thunderstorms out of nowhere, to creating whirlwinds and tornadoes that were feared throughout the universe. The divine techniques of Shibai Otsutsuki may seem unique to him, but on a closer inspection, Boruto seems to be using a watered-down version of his abilities, like the Uzuhiko, a technique that steals the centrifugal force of the planet to deal some immense damage on the opponent. Seems very similar to how Shibai may have summoned these chaotic whirlwinds back in the day. Both the entity and the prodigy are known to manipulate the wind, water and lightning energy in their techniques, and by looking at Boruto opening 4, he could soon become a master of ice style too. So could this be the beginning of him learning the most broken elemental powers of the universe? Well, that's what we are about to figure out today, along with the possible new elemental creatures that Boruto may be summoning in the future. So subscribe if you haven't already, and let's begin. Ninjutsus and Kekkai Genkai have been a part of the Naruto lore from the beginning. Many elemental techniques such as fire release, water release, lava release, lightning release and so on. All of these either come under simple elemental ninjutsus or a Kekkai Genkai, which is made by the combination of two nature styles. There's even something that we call Kekkai Tota, which involves the combination of three nature styles. Dust release was the only example of Kekkai Tota that was shown to us, and there may be other variations as well. Now when it comes to Boruto and his elemental techniques, there is something which puts him way above everyone using nature styles and Kekkai Genkai. Recently it was revealed that ninjutsu are just an imitation of the divine techniques of Otsutsukis. This means all the chakra based powers used by humans are just a watered down version of what Otsutsukis are capable of. So a really enhanced version of nature styles being used by the celestial beings is a huge possibility. We have already seen this in case of Momoshiki, who summoned a giant golem out of nowhere. This golem appears to be made out of fire and earth style or simply lava release, meaning that Otsutsukis can actually amplify nature techniques. He was even able to create a phoenix who seems to be made out of fire release, but its flight capabilities make me believe that he could have inherited wind release too. This clears one thing, that Otsutsukis have more versatile ways at using nature techniques, be it the creations of Momoshiki or Shibai's breathtaking powers. They are far more superior at using elemental abilities as they utilize it at a divine level, which is different than using an imitation like the shinobis. Now when it comes to Boruto, his evolution into an Otsutsuki being also hints at a potential way for him to use elemental powers. He could simply use his existing nature styles to create elemental beast creatures like the ones used by Momoshiki, or possibly the one who was featured in the 4th opening of the anime. Last year when Omnipotence arc concluded, I dropped this video explaining how it was being teased in the anime opening and ending themes from a long time. This means the manga's forthcoming content is already known to the animators and scriptwriters of these theme songs. That's how we got so much foreshadowing of the prophecy arc years before it actually appeared. Now I'm not saying that this exact creature could appear sometime in the future as an enemy or whatever, but Boruto learning ice release and then using his Otsutsuki power to create such creature is not out of question. This dude right here seems like an entity made out of ice release, so Boruto learning ice style in the future may be a potential foreshadowing of this anime opening. Coming back to how the prodigy may be able to amplify his nature styles with Otsutsuki power, there are potentially two ways for him to do so. First is through the use of the Karma Seal, where he can acquire and use all the elemental techniques of Momoshiki like the lava golem or the phoenix, or he could do it without the karma, similar to how he learned the Uzuhiko. We know this technique utilizes the centrifugal and other forces of the planet in powering up the user, but one thing that I don't think many of you may have noticed is that Boruto learning Uzuhiko from Kashin Koji is just a proof that he must have learned other shinjutsus or elemental divine powers as well. The reason I think so is because Kashin Koji looks forward in time through prescience to teach Boruto whatever he was supposed to learn in the future. And it's not a single future from where he obtains this information, rather he is constantly looking at multiple futures with a variety of possibilities. So the odds for Boruto to use elemental techniques in any of those futures is very high. This means Kashin Koji teaching different nature techniques to Boruto through the help of prescience is definitely a huge possibility. Furthermore, I really think there may be an ability that Boruto believes he cannot master yet. As said by Koji, he's only teaching Boruto the powers that he has mastered in the future, meaning that he cannot learn every jutsu, but only the ones that his future self has mastered. But assuming the different versions of him had different time periods to learn certain techniques, I'm sure the powers that would take Boruto more than 2 years to master are being side-held for some time. These techniques could involve elemental powers like the ones used by Shibai in the past. Boruto could at some point just move his arm to create a thunderstorm or throw a barrage of thunderbolts at his opponents just by charging up. Well, that would make him too broken of a character and would take him years of training just to get there. But Koji teaching him these techniques in advance kinda leads us to a grandfather paradox type of scenario. Think of it this way: if Kashin Koji saw future Boruto using Uzuhiko and then made the present Boruto understand how this technique works, which is how he was able to learn and utilize it, then how did future Boruto learn it at first place? There must be someone who taught this to him, or maybe he figured it out himself, and now the present Boruto is just getting to learn these abilities early that his future self took years to master. A paradoxical situation would arise if future Boruto had also learned it with Koji's help through prescience, and the future counterpart of future Boruto, who was responsible for teaching this technique to him, followed a similar pattern, and this is how an endless chain of paradoxical events is formed. We may never get to know that how did future Boruto originally obtain these powers without prescience. Considering Jura and everyone is after the life of the prodigy, there must have been some way other than Koji for Boruto to learn all these techniques. Now, using our theorist mind, we can come up with a few possibilities of how future Boruto learned the Uzuhiko and Flying Thunder God without Kashin Koji. The first possibility is ingrained in the panel from the Naruto manga, which serves as the foundation for the possibility dealing with the introduction of time travel in the story. The entity in the background could be Boruto, who's trying to figure out the ways of sealing an Otsutsuki. He may have to seal Kawaki or some other threat, which is why he decided to go back in time, just to figure out how it's done. Now think of future Boruto actually learning all his powers by going back in time to study people using such abilities. This means he must have went to the time period of his ancestors like Minato and the ancient Uzumaki clan members, just to learn the Flying Thunder God and Uzuhiko. The Uzuhiko being an Uzumaki ability is something that I really believe could be the case due to a number of reasons. First, the Uzumaki clan disappeared mysteriously and were known for their raw power and sealing jutsus, something that could pose a huge threat to the clan of Otsutsukis, and this may be the reason for them to vanish the entire clan, followed by manipulating people's memories about them. The Uzuhiko may be a power that the Uzumakis came up with to destroy the Otsutsuki clan, and future Boruto, upon going to the past, must have learned this broken technique since it would help him a lot in fighting the present enemies. So if we are betting on elemental techniques, we should expect future Boruto to unlock them for many reasons, as the present one would rely on prescience to learn everything that his future self would acquire. But I personally want the present Boruto to himself figure out and amplify the nature techniques. The karma would certainly help him, but I don't see him using it anytime soon, until and unless the threat of Momoshiki gets handled. Now let's talk about a potential way for Boruto to transform his abilities into more efficient or amplified variants. It's something that Momoshiki has done several times after taking over Boruto's body, and could act as a foreshadowing for the next big brain move of the prodigy. I'm talking about the time when Borushiki literally took a Rasengan and created a gigantic variant out of it thanks to Naruto's BIJUU chakra. Not just that, he even showed us minimizing the Rasengan into a bullet-like variant just to deal the same amount of damage like a gunshot. This means Otsutsukis with vast knowledge of chakra can manipulate it in any desired manner just to get the best out of their techniques, and Boruto, being a genius prodigy from birth, must be able to do the same with his powers and abilities. Think of it this way: instead of making a bullet out of his Rasengan, he could turn it into a sword known as Rasengan. The sword would be full of spinning energy, and if he's somehow able to mix Uzuhiko with it, then it would be more easier for him to attack his opponents with this technique. A Rasengan Uzuhiko sword could fool his opponents into believing that he's using a normal sword, but upon getting hit with it, it would send them into a paranoid state, similar to what happened to Code in chapter 3. Now as for the Flying Thunder God, I think Boruto has already created a different and useful variant out of it. Back when Mitsuki attacked Boruto out of nowhere, he made a hand sign to launch his sword into air, and this telekinesis type of power that he used could be a variant of the Flying Thunder God, but instead of teleporting himself, he would teleport items and then use this technique on himself to switch with them. Kind of a Sasuke type of move, but improved according to Boruto's skill set. So now that we have come so far, I have a theory regarding Boruto's unexpected powers and a potential move that could change everything. It's a possibility which has been there since the Code arc, which is why I believe it to be an unused setup that will pay off sometime in the future. But as we know, Code has went into hiding right now, so if you wanna crack the code of great Boruto content, please hit that subscribe button right now for a regular dose of limitless Boruto entertainment. First things first, the best card of Momoshiki that Boruto could play sooner or later is the ability to give someone his karma. Kawaki thought of it as a possible method to get rid of the nuisance, but since Code possessed the white karma, I'm not sure whether it would have worked or not. However, it's not how Code would have reacted to the karma seal, rather the possibility of Boruto to implant someone with his karma. That's right, I think the best backup that he could have planned to save the world would be to keep a clone of himself somewhere with the karma trauma implanted. In this way, whenever Boruto would die, he would automatically gain another life, and considering that's the natural cycle of Otsutsukis and the prodigy might more or less adapt to this clan, I really think of it as a setup that could get paid off in the future. As for who would be his vessel, it should be a clone most likely made by Amado if he's on the good side. The final theory is something that I have a full video on, but let me summarize it all here. We know Boruto was modified with Shibai's cells, right? And he never unlocked any Shinjitsu, that's true as well. But does this mean the cells that were implanted in him will not work on anyone else? Like what if Boruto had to give his Shibai cells to Boruto? Would it make the prodigy unlock divine powers? Well, this is a question that we may soon get an answer for, as Mitsuki had already taken a sample of Boruto's blood and then injected it into Boruto and Kawaki. This means he unintentionally took the cells of Shibai from Boruto's body, which are now inside Boruto. And this only tells me one thing: Boruto already has the DNA of Shibai inside of him, and he could be waiting for the right time to awaken the most awaited Shinjitsu. You can find out more about this in the right video. Also, make sure to subscribe to never miss anything. I will see you next time.